Today on Butt Crack Cycles, we are replacing this with this. If you don't know what this is a factory style clutch hub off of my Shovelhead. I say factory style because I do not believe this is actually the original Harley clutch hub. This is probably some aftermarket junk that was installed by a previous owner. If you don't know what this is an Evolution Industries Diaphragm Clutch. This is kind of a high dollar piece of machinery here. Well, honestly, probably too nice for me and too nice for my bike, but we're going to install it. We'll talk about why and show you how to do it. Okay, so we got the Evolution Industries clutch set up here on the workbench. It is all the way together, still complete, just the way it comes out of the box. We've got it flipped upside down. And right next to it, this is the factory clutch basket out of this bike. There's nothing wrong with it. It's totally fine. We've also got it flipped upside down. And I will pause for 1 second. The reason that I'm replacing this clutch hub is twofold. The first is that all of these studs where the clutch plates ride, where they've all been riding on it, slid over those studs, it's pretty worn, which happens a lot on these things. It's not really that big of a deal. You can often smooth them out. But the main thing is, it's probably not going to come through on the camera, but I'll throw a picture up on the screen. Right here, this clutch has a crack right where the woodruff key is. It goes all the way through, and it comes all the way through the back side. So this is junk. My guess is that somebody at some point in time impacted this thing on there really, really hard and probably cracked this clutch hub. I've probably been riding it with a cracked clutch hub for the last year and a half, not even knowing it. But I bought the Evolution Industries Diaphragm Clutch because I could not find an actual made in America, good quality, factory style clutch hub replacement. Everything I found was just $100 Taiwan, Chinese, India made junk. And you read online in forums, people say, if you buy one of these, you're going to be replacing it again. It's garbage. So I ponied up the money and bought this. Anyways, I've rambled on enough. We got to take these little Allen bolts here out of this retaining ring on the back of this bearing adapter. So I've got the clutch flipped back over. I'm going to take all of the bolts out that holds the clutch pack together. Whoopsies. Throw them on the floor. Okay, let me get the one that went on the floor. There it is. And now we can disassemble the pressure plate. And we want to keep all of this in order. So there's the actual diaphragm spring instead of, your factory one uses these little springy springs. That's the technical term for them, by the way, springy springs. And for now, I'm going to just lay this all back in a stack. And you can see I've just taken them one at a time, flipping them over in a stack, keeping all the clutches and the steels in order. Eventually we will separate the clutch discs from the steels, and we're going to need to give them a little bit of a bath. But that'll be later on in the video. Okay, so now we're down to a bare drive hub. Oops, one last steel, my bad. Now we're down to the bare drive hub. And what we can do is take our factory clutch basket and this bare drive hub, and we're going to lubricate. I've already done it off camera. I've lubricated this drive hub with just a little bit of Type F. Evolution Industries says Type F is okay in these clutches. I asked them on the phone. They said some guys are running the like the Bell Ray stuff, and they like that, but they also say Type F is okay. Okay, so that is in there. That actually took a little bit more force than I kind of thought it would. I ended up taking a rubber mallet and a block of wood and getting it kind of started and whacking it on through. Press probably would have been easier, but it's in there. And we can put the retaining ring back on, and then we're going to put the little Allen bolts back in. It says use medium strength thread locker, so blue, and torque them to 80 inch-pounds. So we'll go get the little inch-pound torque wrench here and do that. Alright, so you can see I've got my pile of parts here. Some of this is old, some of this is new. This is obviously that clutch basket that we just pressed the new Evolution Industries clutch hub into. And then we've got a new compensator nut, and we're just going to reuse the primary chain, the tensioner, and the rest of our compensator stuff. So I'll show you all how to put it on, and last but not least, I've actually got my parts manual open to the right page. The shop manual for this section is actually kind of terrible. There's not a single picture, and it's just words, and it basically says reverse the disassembly in order to reassemble this. So just being able to look at the picture, honestly, is helpful for me sometimes. Alright, so the next thing to do is just install the primary chain with the compensator sprocket and the clutch basket. Do this all together like you saw me do. Make sure that clutch drive hub gets onto the Woodruff key on the main shaft of the transmission. You can see I'm shaking mine back and forth. I've got the transmission in gear, and I'm watching to make sure I can turn the rear wheel by doing that. Then you're going to want to install the rest of your compensator stuff and take your compensator nut and screw it on. The compensator on a shovel head is regular thread, so righty-tighty. But pay attention here, y'all. The main shaft nut back there on the transmission that I'm working on now, that one is lefty-tighty. It's reverse thread. So torque that to 50 foot-pounds, and then we need to put a jam bar in between the baskets here, and we can torque the compensator nut. This torques to like 85 foot-pounds. Use a torque wrench, folks. Don't just impact this on. You might tear up the stator if you impact it. And use a jam bar. Don't try and use the chain. Speaking of chain, we need to set the chain tension. The factory spec is, I think, 5/8 to 7/8 of an inch. I just use a 5/8 wrench, or you can even use like 11/16. And now that that's done, I'm just kicking it over and making sure everything turns, and then going and turning this thing over by the compensator again to just make sure everything in this primary is turning correctly. Next, remember we had separated the clutch plates and the steels from each other, and we need to separate them out into their own two piles, and all we really need is the clutch discs. Order them, number them, and make sure you know which side is out, and soak them in whatever fluid you're going to be running in your primary. In my case, ATF, I'm running Ford Type F because this is an isolated primary. The next thing we're going to do is install all the clutches and steels. You start with a correct steel, and then your next clutch, then steel clutch, over and over again until you have the whole pack. You can see my Sharpie writings on the clutches and steels. It's really important you put this stuff in the correct order with the right side facing out. Side note, while I'm thinking about it, as y'all are watching me install the actual pressure plate, you have to use the Evolution Industries clutch hub nut. You can't use the factory one, but that's pretty self-explanatory. Anyways, then just tighten down the diaphragm spring using those bolts, the Allen bolts. Put a little bit of blue Loctite on them. Just do it kind of in a crisscross star pattern like you're tightening lug nuts on a car or a truck. And then once again, get the torque wrench out. The installation paperwork that comes with the clutch calls out 20 foot-pounds for these bolts. If you're done with this, we can put the adjuster in and do a clutch adjustment. Clutch adjustment is the same procedure as the stock engine, and then you're gonna watch me kick everything through. The bike's still in gear, so now I'm making sure that, you know, as the engine turns, it turns the primary, the clutch will turn the transmission, and the transmission will turn the rear wheel, which is what we want. Now it is time to go ahead and throw our primary back on, which is a nice feeling. You can hang the gasket off a little dowel pin, and then I usually just use a bolt somewhere in it to make sure it lines all the way up. And then tighten it all down. Again, torque wrench here,
just use standard torque on the fasteners. And it's time to put a little bit of fluid in the primary. I'm running 6 ounces of fluid for now. I might find that I want a little bit less, but that seems to be a good general consensus on the amount of fluid in an isolated shovelhead primary. So got to throw my derby cover back on after that, and then I just wanted to make sure I had the free play set about right on the clutch lever. I just wanted to see how this thing's felt, and honestly it feels pretty good. It doesn't really feel any heavier than a factory clutch. And that really wraps up the installation.
Alright, so I'm going to wrap this episode up just kind of right here. And I'm sure someone's going to say, but we wanted to watch you ride this bike. We want to know what the clutch is like. And I do too, but if you were paying attention to the motorcycle itself, kind of as I was working on it, it's not at a point where it's rideable yet. I still have more work to do to that bike before I'm done with it. And so in the interest of kind of, you know, keeping up with this, staying steady with my YouTube uploads, we're just going to end this one here. That's the first reason that you're not seeing me ride this bike around. The second reason is that I bet that the first ride that I take on this bike with the new clutch is going to be great. And I don't want to install this clutch and then say, hey, I rode 27 miles on it and it's wonderful. It's the best clutch you'll ever buy. Go spend the $600 to buy this clutch. I think what I would rather do is take my time to put the bike together right and finish it, and then go ride the thing. I'm working really hard to try and make it down to Georgia Grundle Run, which is September 12th through 14th. And this episode has been filmed kind of at the end of July. I'm usually about 3 weeks ahead on my YouTube stuff. Anyways, so I've got some time to finish the bike and then hopefully take it to Grundle Run, which would be like around a 500-mile round trip for me. And so in the interest of, you know, putting a product through its paces and actually really testing it, that's what I'd rather do. I'd rather just cut this episode right here, right now, how to install a diaphragm clutch in a shovelhead, so you hopefully have learned something, and then go ride this thing, go put 1,000 miles on it or whatever, and come back in a month or two and actually give y'all like an honest, real-world review about, do I like it? Have I had any trouble with it? If I've had any trouble, what was the customer service like? And do I recommend you put one of these clutches in your bike? So that's how I want to do it, and that's how I'm gonna do it. As always, thanks for watching. I want to see some ducks. There's Neville. They're mad because they hadn't got to come out yet today, but I'll let them out here in a little bit so they can run around the yard and cause ducky chaos. Alright, see y'all on the next one. Bye.